Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. Chelsea have lost to the Gunners 3-1 on the night. Another abysmal performance to discuss and get into. I don't know. I'm getting to the point where it's, what do you say? What do you say about that performance? Honestly, we've got loads to go through that I've got up on tabs as well, which we're going to discuss. We've got player ratings. We've got the panel as well coming through as well. Make sure you guys are smashing the like button on this one. I want to know your thoughts and feelings in the chat as well. How do you feel after seeing that game and the performance of yesterday's game and the setup of yesterday's game? I want to know everything in regards to what people feel. What people are feeling on that basis. Smash the likes, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's get the likes up, guys. I want to get this to 100 likes as quickly as possible. If we can do 100 likes before half hour, that'd be amazing. And let's just get into this and cue the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1. Another shit performance from the Blues. We thought they might maybe turn up, get a little bit motivated that it's a London derby, at least give us something, show us something. And what did they give us in return? They gave us absolute crap. And it goes all the way from, again, Frank Lampard all the way down to the players. And we're going to obviously have to discuss it, talk it. But it's getting a little bit boring because we all kind of know the situation. We all kind of understand that this team at the moment, this bunch of players, the setup, the manager, that everything to a degree, even up to the owners to a degree at the moment, it's just very run down, in my opinion, and signed off. Completely signed off to the point where we can't even seem to get a win. We can't even just seem to get a win. You know, and it can't be that because you can't win the league. So if you don't win the league, you're just a bunch of bottlers. So go and win the league. That's what I'm going to say about Arsenal fans. You know what I mean? Don't come and say these things when you've been absolutely crap for 15 years of your life, 20 years, and you still ain't won a major trophy. Come back to us later, Arsenal fans. Yeah, we're in a bad place and we're not in a great position at the moment, but this was always going to come. You know, we was always sort of up there, weren't we? And in Champions League spots and doing our thing. As of Man United and Arsenal, who weren't doing that. They were struggling, have been struggling for a good 8 to 10 years plus. You know, so it is what it is. I find it quite funny. Yeah, we were bad on the night. Well done to Arsenal. Go and win the league. If you don't, you bottled it. If you don't, you bottled it. You had a lead on Man City. So don't worry about beating Chelsea and being happy about that because we can't even beat Brentford. It's not a massive achievement to beat Chelsea right now. We're not in any real great form. We're struggling with confidence, and a lot of our players are signed off at the moment as well. So, you know, let them have their little moment at the moment. But what does it really mean if they don't win anything? That's what I'm going to say. So big up to you. RD, how you doing, bro? He says get Enrique in. Is that enough? Mineral says big up. It's Starry Day is as. Big up to you. Kian says Sterling can't play again. Madueke showed his class. Well, I did say yesterday about wanting to see Madueke, and all of a sudden it's like he was listening to me. Madueke started, and I actually thought he'd done quite well. I really do. It was little moments where he was still frustrating on the ball, but you know, he carried the ball well. He took on players. You know, he committed the players. He tried to make things happen on his own. And I kept telling you guys why I didn't want Aubameyang up front. And we're going to talk about. I told you guys, told you about this player. I said to you, and you know what? Kai Havertz came on in the second half, and even though we still lost, we actually had a better second half than we did the first. He just doesn't offer anything, man. He generally don't offer anything. So what I'm saying to people, don't hold your agendas on people that you don't like. Just actually look at the quality of what you know of the player that you're bringing in, because Aubameyang's just not there. He just isn't it. I've been telling people it. Please have some same energy for the owners as you do for Lamps and the players. They are more at fault for what's happening. I think the owners being criticised is only based on the decisions that they've made up to this point. And obviously the main real big decision of all of this is the Thomas Tuchel sacking. You know, they bring in Graham Potter, they mucked that one up, and they've now obviously given Frank Lampard time to come in and try and just get us to the end of the season, you know. We only still need, 3 or 4 points. We've got Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest yet. Yeah, we're not in any real great form, you know, but they're the two games where they're going to have to step up and make things happen. The owners are going to make mistakes. I think we're going to have to, unfortunately, accept that. I do think that they've rushed certain things in many ways in terms of the amount on the accumulation of players that they're buying. Yes, I think they've gone very quick in it, and I think they're trying to speed things up. But I just don't think it's that kind of thing of being able to speed it up. I do think it just needs to run its course and its time. And this is why the next managerial appointment, which I keep telling people, is very important. It's important that we get it right, because that manager that comes in is going to have a big squad. He's going to have to narrow it down. He's going to have to sell some players, and then he's going to be able to get the best out of what we've got so that we can continue progressing as a club. At the moment, we ain't progressing. We are regressing. We are regressing, and that is a big issue at a big issue for Chelsea at the moment. We just need this season to end. I'll be honest with you. We need a season to end, and we need to finish mid-table. That is it. Jim, what the fuck was last night? Is it really a shock, Bobby? Is it really? Let's be serious. Steve, big up to you. I mean, that still is your name because you haven't still won anything. When's your last major trophy, mate? You know, that still sticks with you. Big up, Jim. Good to see you. Corey, big up to you. Big up, Bri. Big up, Alex. Yeah, he's useless, he is. He had, I think, 7 touches and 2 of the touches were kickoff. Other than that, he's non-existent. Yeah, and you lot were 8th. 3 seasons or 2 seasons in a row. 8th, 2 seasons in a row, mate. What are you smoking? We did the double, you lot. Can't chat to us. Yeah, we can. We can still chat to you because we're still bigger than you. We're still better than you. And that is what it is. Hope we get 2 wins in our last few games. Yeah, big up, Sam. It's our worst season ever. It is. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, you know. I just like the Arsenal fans that come out of nowhere because they've obviously disappeared for a very long time. All of a sudden, they have one good season. They're getting all excited again. Like they're on the big boy table. But they're not on the big boy table. They're still not on the big boy table because they can't win a major. That's why. They just can't. They can't. They go and win the major. Are you worried? Are you not worried this form won't continue on to next season? This is really worrying. No, because I do think a lot's going to change, and hopefully for the good. I mean, we don't know. It could get worse. Of course it could. We don't know. But at the same time, we're only assuming. We don't know if it's going to get worse. We don't know if it's going to get better. We've got new players coming in. We've got Nkunku. We've got Malo Gusto. We've got a lot of players that need to disappear at this club. Just flush them out. And then it's going to be down to the new manager, if it's Poch, to make the right decisions for what he wants to do with his systems. And that's the key. It's about getting it right. You know, people are panicking from what they're seeing in one season. Chelsea have done this in the past, even under Roman. Let's be serious. All right, we're not finished 12th, but we still finished pretty bad. I think under Mourinho, we finished 8th or 9th, wasn't it? Maybe even worse. I think it was 10th. And then bounce back. So I'm not saying we're going to do that, but what we need to see next year is a push towards the Champions League again. Work towards the Champions League, try and solidify a spot in there. If we can get a trophy in between all of that, great. If not, progression. You can go on to the next season and it's about progressing and then pushing to the point where you can actually compete with the top 2 again, or the top 1, should I say, in Man City, because it is always Man City. Yeah, it always is. That's how Arsenal fans celebrate. You know. Well, we are, mate. We've won more trophies than you guys have won in 20 years, mate. What have you done? What have you done other than be a banter club, comedy club, being used on AFTV for us to all laugh at you for so many years? It was fun. Big up, bro. We got players that don't want to play for our club no more, fam. I agree. And this is why I'm saying to you, the summer's massive. The appointment of the manager and also the, the empty out of the squad as well, you know. Yeah, you all say the same thing. It's boring. It's all boring. We're all boring. All I'm going to say to you guys is if you don't win the league this season, then it's getting peak for Arsenal. That's what I'm going to say. This is your time. My own season is top 7. We have more league titles than you. When was you born when you actually won them? Was you actually born? How old were you? How old are you, mate? Because I'm pretty sure you haven't won a major trophy since when? Very long time, my friend. There's a lot of people that weren't even born the last time you won a Premier League, mate. So just relax yourself. So we can qualify for Europe. If Poch hits the ground running from the... Oh, you're 29. Okay, so you were 9 years old. 9 years old? Maybe less than that. 7 years old. 7 years old, mate. This is the last time you won a major trophy. Well, that is embarrassing. For a club that thinks they're so elite and big. Where have you been for 20 years, mate? Where have you been for 20 years? Yous are a comedy. They're so funny, Arsenal fans. You know that they always want to be in the big boy table, but they're like always on the floor like little kids. Trying to get attention. Me. Can we get involved with the big boys? No, sorry, you're not a big boy. Sit down and sit over there with Tottenham. Be quiet. I love wind-up Arsenal fans. It's fucking funny. Not a real surprise, but if we were being a London derby, I hoped we might see something. And in fact, Bobby, I don't care. Honestly, they can celebrate beating us because that's all they ever try and celebrate. Oh, we beat Chelsea! Yay! Yay! To use Arsenal history in the 80s to back up his point. I know, Alan. Tell me about it, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's just Arsenal for you. It's just Arsenal. But at the end of the day, all that will be remembered this season, if Man City don't win, if Man City go and win their next two games, is what Tottenham were. Bottlers. A bunch of bottlers. That's what they'll be known as. A bunch of bottlers. So go and win the league. Go win the league and come back. Anyway, we move on. There's no tears coming here, mate. I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at your fan base, mate. They're pathetic. Your fan base are pathetic, mate. So funny, man. They're so funny. Anyway, we move on. So I want to start off by saying congratulations to Petr Cech, who has now been inducted in the Premier League Hall of Fame, which he deserves. One of the best Premier League goalkeepers ever, in my opinion, the greatest goalkeeper ever in the Premier League. Broke so many records in his first season in 2004 and 5. And has just been an amazing servant of Chelsea, of the Premier League. And to have the injury that he did against Blackburn where he got kneed in the head and to come back and still be at that level that he was just immense. And for me, what a goalie. What a goalie. And it's a shame we struggle to find a goalie like him out there anymore. We found Courtois. We found a Courtois. And then obviously since Courtois, we've gone downhill after he decided to snake us. Absolute legend. And big up to Petr Cech. Don't forget they won the We Push City. Oh, yeah. I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they won. Anyway, we move on from that. There's a little bit of news from Fabrizio Romano on Chelsea. And guess what? Chelsea have signed another youngster. I understand Chelsea have completed the signing of Alex Matos, signing documents and contracts sealed in the last 24 hours. Under 18s talent, born in 2004. Matos joins from Norwich on a free transfer with add-ons. Fine. We keep continuing to sign these young players for the future. All I hope and I hope from what this new owners are trying to do and whatever that idea is that this pays off or whatever they're trying to do. Because they are signing a lot of young players. In fact, too many young players, and the fact that we might maybe even purchasing another club and having a secondary club that we can potentially use maybe to push these youngsters across would make sense. I get the idea of what they're trying to do, make them competitive, and then either sell them on or let them break into the Chelsea team and become effective. But we need to also look at the now, and the now is that this current squad that we have at the moment is abysmal, and it goes back to some players are still here since Sarri. It's just a big whole kerfuffle of mess. The bench, the players that are in it, it's just too much going on. And it's not that they're bad players. There's quality in this team. I keep telling you there is quality there. But it's just too much. Just too much deadwood, in my opinion, as well, mixed with it. And it just doesn't, and on top of that, no one seems to be, hungry or at least have the push in them to go and, play for the badge behind, which none of them are doing at the moment or even trying to do. It just makes me feel sick. Do you know what I mean, Sam? It's funny, isn't it? It is absolutely funny. Guys, over nearly 200 people here. Big up to you guys. We're going to go and jump into Cesc Fabregas' comments on last night against Frank Lampard, because that's where I want to start with, Frank Lampard, because let's be serious. Literally what Cesc Fabregas there is what Frank Lampard is. And you know what? I've got to give it to Matty and Winter Surfer. These people, they were very worried about him, just as bad as he is. And it wasn't that I wasn't worried. I just thought we would win a game here and there and it'd be enough. We'd still lose games. But to go in the run that we are at the moment under Lampard is just crap. And I do think he sets us up for failure. Has been setting us up in failure. Some people may argue that, you know, it doesn't matter who we play out there, we can't score a goal. I get that as well. We do have an issue with output, but I don't know. I mean, this reads Cesc Fabregas comments. It says Cesc goes real with this. When I was little, I had a coach with 11 olives, and he could throw them on the table with no tactics. This is how I see Chelsea. You have a Brazilian captain, a World Cup winner, and English internationals in the Chelsea team. Sometimes that means nothing. He's right in what he's saying, because tactics is important. And why we lost yesterday's game to Arsenal is because that they're well drilled, they understand their roles, and they're all played in their correct positions that allows them to be beneficial and work. But there's also a tactic there in terms of how they become effective. And when you look at how they broke us down and scored goals yesterday, I would say it's very clever from the Arsenal side of how they targeted the space between the midfield and the defence every time, and we got caught every time. The gap between midfield defence was shocking. The back four, in my opinion, kept dropping back well too deep. The midfield weren't able to recover the space between, which left the opportunities for Odegaard and Saka and Trossard to pick up the balls. But then when these moments happen, it's about having a manager that can tactically place them or understand where to cover or can see what the issue is. And with Frank Lampard, I don't think he is. I don't think he has that. And it is important to play the right players in their right positions, because at least it gives you something. And we saw it in the second half, because he didn't change much. He just played players that are more comfortable in their position. You know, I thought Madueke, who we're going to talk about in a bit, was an actual plus. I was quite impressed with him. But Lampard is a problem, because he doesn't seem to understand or be able to solve what's going on in front of him. He looks at things and goes and just sits there. He's starting to do what Graham Potter did. And I'll be honest, he was sitting there on the bench, no action, no this, no that. He obviously had a game plan, and he said that after we had a game plan. I told him what not to do, and they did. They ended up doing what not to do. That is a player problem, because when your managers tell you, right, this is what you got to do, and you got to do this, this, and this, and they don't carry it out, which is what he said yesterday, then you got to look at, you got to look at the manager. I'm sorry, you got to look at the players as well. But then it goes to how you're tactically setting them up. Are they comfortable playing in that position? And how many times are we going to continuously keep changing this formation? And we keep changing the formation. And we know Lampard's more comfortable with the back four. We've seen it. Yeah. But he keeps, again, like Graham Potter, they keep just playing around with it. Well, based on what Frank said after the game, it sounds like the players were doing their own thing. Yeah, and that's what I just flagged up here as well. But then, if that's the case, make a tactical decision to nullify Arsenal then. Don't just leave them out there to do it. And that's what maybe he's done. And I don't know. Big up to Kafkas View in the building. Shout out, bro. Big up to you, my man. Nice to see Alexis in the building, man. He always comes through once in a blue moon, but when he does, he's always, welcoming and stuff. And he sometimes comes and joins me as well. Big up to Alexis, man. Big up to Alexis. They all looked non-interested, not bothered. And that's what annoyed me. But then you go to the tactical side of it and how we set up. And I'll be honest with you, the fact that Frank Lampard sat there and thought, you know what, to play against Arsenal, who are the second best team in the league, I'm going to go and set us up like this. Yeah. Like this, which is what he's done. It's just pathetic. It's just absolutely pathetic. Why did you decide to go to the back four? When you know clearly that Arsenal are more fluid with the ball, they're more passive, they can be direct, they're going to attack the wings. You put Aspilicueta out there to be isolated. You decide to put Kante, and Enzo and Kovacic in the midfield, which is just not working because I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like they're pulling their weights. You're hindering Enzo Fernandez by playing him so deep when really he needs to be in Kovacic's position. But then we don't have someone that can sit, which is the issue. Then just play the two. And if you're going to play the four at the back, what he should have done, in my opinion, is played the 4-2-3-1. We don't need Kovacic in this team right now. He's just not. It's not beneficial whatsoever. If anything, it causes us more problems. It hinders us, in my opinion. Kante's playing well too high up because what's happening is that because we haven't got the extra offensive player on the pitch, the instruction is for N'Golo Kante to be that next guy, and you're finding him in the box trying to score goals. No, let Kante break up play and be a bit box to box, but don't ask him to be one of the furthest guys to press forward. Add another attacking player in there. Have a 4-2-3-1. Drop João Felix into the middle of the 10. So that he can pick up the pockets, and/or put a press on Jorginho rather than Enzo Fernandez and Kante having to push out. Because when you play the 4-3-3, what you're instantly having to do is man mark. You're having to have man mark and you're having to press the players on the ball. So Enzo Fernandez kept every time coming out of position to press Jorginho. But then what happened by him doing that is that because Kante and Kovacic were left so wide, I want to show you something in a minute. It left massive holes in the middle for Saka, Odegaard, who weren't being watched, Jesus, Trossard. They had more fluidity in what they were doing. It was just tactically the wrong way to set up. Aubameyang is you're playing with 10 men with Aubameyang because without him actually being created for and being in the box, he doesn't do anything else. He can't hold the ball up. He doesn't make runs. He doesn't look. I keep telling people, doesn't look interested. But most of them didn't look interested yesterday. We suffer heavily. Sterling was just wasteful. Our pass in the first half was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting from Sterling all the way to Kovacic, all the way to the defence. Kante as well, some of his decision makings, but again in the positions he shouldn't be in. It was just too easy. We made it too easy from the way that we set up. I don't get why we did that. We should have gone for a 4-2-3-1 for me, and we didn't. I know, 5 touches, Josh. Maybe. Potentially, but I just still wouldn't have played 3 in midfield. I would have had an offensive player on. I'd have played with a pivot. I'd have played 2 in the middle. Forget the 3. Played 2 in the middle and then have João Felix, Madueke. I would have had Mudryk over Sterling, but I get Sterling playing because he has a good record against Arsenal or whatever, but he's not in good form. And then I probably would have played Havertz, in my opinion, rather than Aubameyang. And just gone that way, and I think we would have maybe given them more of a problem because Jorginho wouldn't have had so much space, which he did have because he had no one pressing him. There was no one in the 10 pocket to be able to do that. Yeah, you had Kante so wide in Madueke's position. You had Madueke in Kante's position. You had Kovacic running down the wing and getting in front of fucking Chilwell every time. Every time Chilwell's trying to make runs behind him. Sterling's picking the ball up and just losing it. Aubameyang's not offering anything because he wants to get behind, but he hasn't got the pace to do it, so he can't even play a ball through to him. There was just too many wrong things. And that's what I'm saying. The setup was shit. I even said it. I did not like the setup. You do not play a 4-3-3 against them. And if you're going to play for the back, you should have played a 4-2-3-1, in my opinion. And he didn't. He didn't. And that's an issue. And players are suffering from confidence as it is. I don't know. I disagree with that. I don't think it's the worst signing they've made in years. I'll be honest with you. I just think we're struggling. I just think we're struggling with chemistry. I think we're struggling with the amount of times we switch the systems. We also struggle with the fact that when we play him up front, and he's not even a striker. There's a lot of things that we're doing with him at the moment. It's not working. And I did tell people when you sign Raheem Sterling, he will not be the answer to your questions. He needs to have players. He needs to have players around him. He needs to have, he needs to have players that he can build chemistry with in the forward line and played in the positions that suit him best. And there is players worse than him. There is players worse than him. Hakim Ziyech. That's an easy one to say. Hakim Ziyech. You lot all cry about Kai Havertz being worse than him, or being one of the worst players we've ever had. Josh, I know you've got an agenda against the boy, bro, but I get it. You don't like the player. Everyone has their thing. Everyone doesn't like someone so much. Doesn't matter what the player does. You just don't like him. That's fine. I get it. I'm not sticking up for him. I just think that with what we have at the moment and where we are with all of it, yeah, he should be doing better. Yeah, but in his first season, he's not going anywhere. So the pressure on Sterling will not be now for me. The pressure on Sterling will be second, third season because he's not getting sold. I don't see him getting sold. I don't see him getting sold. Yeah, but you say that, and then when we talk about Christian Pulisic, you start crying. So it is the gender. As we say, say the same thing about Christian Pulisic, and you start crying about it. I didn't. I don't know why you're coming for me so much, bro. You need to calm yourself down, mate. Honestly, calm yourself down. Jesus. I just don't get how this fan base gets so angry about one player. Yeah, it didn't work, but calm down, bro. You didn't see that there's more issues than just one player, bro. Open your eyes. Open your fucking eyes, bro. It's not hard to see that there's more problems than just Raheem Sterling in this team right now. On top of that, we have Alexis, you can join, bro. You can join. I can't be asked to sit here talking and moaning about, he's not playing well. Of course he ain't, but who is? Why do we do this? Why do we always talk about one fucking player all the time? Because it suits how we feel. Do you know what I mean? I don't even sit here and grill Aubameyang that much. I just say I don't like what he does. I just think with Raheem Sterling, the pressure's on next season when we start improving the squad and if he can get into the squad. And then the pressure's on. Because what Raheem Sterling can offer in front of goal is goals. Once created for. But if you're going to play him as a striker, it's not going to work. It's not excuses, Josh. You're not listening to what I'm saying. What attacker is good? Name me what attacker is good in a fucking team. Instead of just crying about one player all the time. I don't get it with people. It's let's just cry about one player all the time. Cool. You don't like the player. You've not liked the player since he's come to Chelsea. Cool, bro. Relax yourself. It's not I can't be asked to be talking about just individual players right now. He ain't going anywhere. We've only just signed him. He's going to be longer than Ziyech. He's going to probably be longer than Havertz. He's probably going to be longer than your beloved Christian Pulisic. So it is what it is. It was past. He was bad yesterday. He was bad. I'm not sitting here defending him. But to say he's the worst player we've ever signed in the last 5 years is ridiculous. I don't agree with that.
It's classic, though, isn't it? It's absolutely classic. We get new players. Everyone gets absolutely over the moon about having them. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, he's rubbish. Same thing's going to happen with Nkunku. It happened with Felix. Felix was the best thing since sliced bread.
He's talking about a striker. He's comparing a striker with a winger. He scored 15 goals. Come on, bro, man. Is this really what it's got to? He scored 15 goals. I don't get it.
He cost £100 million. He should be scoring 15 goals.
£100 million, exactly. What are we doing here? Leave me alone. I'm dead off. Yeah, I know. Tell me about. Alexis, I was gonna, you're here now. Let me ask you about the game. I'm all right. I'm just trying to explain the fact that with Chelsea and where we are at the moment, I feel that they've signed off a lot. I think that there's an issue not just only with individual players, but also tactically, managers, and obviously above that as well. We look like we signed off in all of it. The performances don't really surprise me in many. I don't think we should have set up the way we did yesterday with a 4-3-3. I think it was the wrong thing to do from Lampard, in my opinion, in trying to literally go man up against Arsenal, who are more fluid, more in control, second best team in the league on paper. So I mean, what's your thoughts?
If we talk about the lineup yesterday, I think. By the way, thanks for having me on.
Right.
The lineup yesterday made me laugh because he goes from paying too much respect to Brentford to paying Arsenal no respect at Arsenal. Like even City went and played long ball against Arsenal at the Emirates. So it really made me laugh. And like you said, it's just consistent, flexible formations. Like 1 minute he wants to play three at the back, then he wants to play four at the back with no wingers. He wants to have it like attacking midfielders of Gallagher and Kante. Then he wants to go Noni and Sterling. And he's literally like, when you're doing a jigsaw puzzle and you have no clue what to do next, you're just
Yeah,
putting
that's what it
random pieces.
is.
And that's what it strikes me. Like he's just like yesterday's lineup, right? What really highlighted for me that he did not believe in this lineup was taking off Aubameyang at 45 minutes. Easiest person to take off. You've got an inbuilt scapegoat. Why did Aubameyang only have 9 touches? Because we couldn't retain the ball. Why can't we retain the ball? Because we can't play out the back. There is no instructions. Like players that were brave on the ball under Tuchel, all of a sudden don't want the ball. Players that were brave on the ball under Potter, even, all of a sudden don't want the ball. It's because they're not told, or coached how to play out the back. It's worrying. It really frustrates me.
It is. And when you look at that lineup yesterday, the 4-3-3, obviously, I just don't like, at the moment, I'm not really a fan of Kovacic. I just don't think he's anywhere near the level he should be. I think he actually hinders the other two. And I think Enzo Fernandez is suffering anyway because he's being played in the position that he shouldn't be. And I think he needs to be the guy in the Kovacic position, being able to be further forward with the ball and trying to play these guys through because he can do that. I know Kovacic set up the goal yesterday, but he does it once in about 25 games. I'm done. Done with that with Kovacic. You know what I mean in terms of the final third. But
I think it's time to sell, right?
It is. But when you've got N'Golo Kante being instructed to play off the right and be a winger, running up and down the wing and leaving gaping holes in where he is, and then Enzo's going forward to press Jorginho, but leaves a gap behind him, and Odegaard's just floating in between that gap, and you can't see that as a manager. I just don't get it. I just don't like. Well, when does it get to a point where you look at it and go, I can't. We're gonna get. I need to change it. And it was relentless. And don't get me wrong, the defense yesterday was poo, as well.
Yeah,
that it didn't help. But the issue was that the midfield and the defense and the gaps between were too big every time, and it just didn't help. There was no protection, and the defense for some of the goals, even Kepa for the first goal. I keep saying about Kepa,
biscuit hands.
It's just not good enough for Chelsea. I keep telling people this. We can't have Kepa in goal moving forward. Like, don't get wrong, it was a good shot, but he's so small. He's such a small frame in the goal. Do you know what I mean? That you got to do is keep shooting, and even if he does get a hand to it, it just goes through him all the time.
Every time it goes through him, and it's so annoying because the fact of the matter is he's just not good enough, and yet people will tell me, "Oh, you have an agenda for saying he's not." No, it's we've seen a good sample size of what happens with him. He'll make great, unbelievable reaction saves when the ball's at him. But then crossing, a cross comes in, he can't come and collect. He's too small. He tries to be commanding. He most probably is a great leader. He's just not big enough to come and collect the crosses he wants to come or punch. And then anyone shoots from long range, either it goes top bins because he can't reach it, or when he gets his wrist to it, his breadstick hands, like his hands break. We need to move off him. Like literally, oh man, he frustrates me so much. And people will say, "Oh, look at his statistics." I don't care. Like we allow 11 shots per game on our goal. Of course, he's gonna have a high statistic.
Yeah, it's just becoming. I didn't watch the Brentford game. I kind of look at the lineups and then I just decide. And at the moment, I was a bit reluctant to watch yesterday's game, but because he decided to do something a little bit different, even though I didn't like it, I wanted to see it because at least it wasn't just Conor Gallagher up front as one of our only attackers, which I can't believe we did for the last 2 games. Look, Kepa, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're going to do player ratings, guys, so smash the likes if you can, get the likes up. I keep telling you he's not good enough. Can we blame him for all the goals? No, I think the first goal we could have done better. I think, was it the Jesus goal? sticks his leg out, it goes through his leg into the back of the net.
Like the Jesus goal was comical because Aspi, it just showed why Aspi was a mess as well.
Aspie, yeah, all of them, you know. And then you got Silva and Fofana forward on each other, and it's like, why are you both falling on the floor? And it's just like making it well too easy for them to score, and it's just a mess, mate. It's just utterly a mess. Like, I don't really know what to say with Kepa. I'll just give him a solid 3. I don't really have much more to say. Yeah. It's just
Man, you know what? I do feel sorry for him at times as well because, like, Frank really leaves us open for shots from long range because there's no protection in front of the defense, so people always have time and space. And then with Kepa's like record, people just shoot.
With Cesar Spilicueta, I just think he's done, man. He's been a legend. Thank you very much, but now it's just like because you can see he actually tries. He runs around the pitch non-stop trying to win the ball back and presses, and but you can just see it in him that he's just not that guy anymore. He can't.
Jem, in school, did you ever read Of Mice and Men?
Yeah.
Bro, it's like we need to put Lenny down. Aspi's Lenny. Like, you have to put him down now. Let him go. Enough is enough. Like, we've been hanging on to this man for too long. You're ruining his legacy. You're actually like ruining his legacy. It's like Ivanovic 2.0. It gets to a point where you're just doing damage to the man.
Yeah, it's not much to say. I don't want to really slander him too much, but some of his things was comical. The head back that he nearly, I don't know what he was doing there. Even he's just looks like he's done. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm probably going to give him a 2. To be fair, I don't really have much more to say on Aspilicueta because it is what it is. But let's go to Thiago Silva, and I'll be honest with you, even he didn't look really up for it yesterday. I'll be honest with you.
Looks out of his depth.
Yeah, it looks the clearance off the line, which he did do, which stopped it from being 4. But other than that, even he was just, which is weird because he's always Mr. Consistent for me. He's always, putting in good performances, and maybe he's just had enough of this season as well. And I just had that feeling, but it just annoys me that I don't feel like they're just like it's like, and it's not Silva specifically, but I feel like with some others that are on the pitch, I just feel like they don't care anymore. It annoys me. Do you know what I mean?
But I think you always get that feeling, right? Like, whenever things go wrong and they're not set up, I think it's because they're not like, when people press and then one person doesn't press and you're like, oh, that person doesn't care. When in reality, the person pressing is just pressing like a headless chicken. So there's no system. There's no triggers for when they're meant to press, who's meant to cover this half space. And I don't think they don't care because if they don't care, right, it's damning. They're all winners. Like, to get to that level, there's a competitive element in you, right? You're like the 0.1% of the world. So I just think you get a new manager in, some confidence, and this team is a top 4 team again because there is talent there. I
agree. I agree with that. I think the quality is there. I just think it needs the right manager, and I think we need to empty out a lot of players with it. I just think there's a lot of deadwood in this team that needs to go with it. I'll be honest with you, and it's affecting and hindering the new ones that we brought in my opinion, as well. And I don't know.
Thiago is a 3.
Yeah, 3. I'd give him a 3 as well. And then you go on to Fofana, and I don't know. Again,
I thought he was all right. He showed fight.
He does. He does. He does. You can tell he does try, but again, they conceded 3 goals. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'll probably give him a 4 for Fofana. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was the best defender yesterday. Yeah. It's really worrying to say that, but I think he was by far the best defender.
A little bit annoyed with Ben Chilwell because I actually thought he got forward quite well a couple of times, and he got himself
very wasteful, right?
He got himself in front of goal, and I was just like, why are you hitting it straight? I know Ramsdale saved it, but like, how are you not putting that in the bottom corner? Like, why are you making it that easy for him to save? Like, I don't know. But
I don't like Ben on the ball either. I think Ben gets a free pass, in my opinion, for being homegrown. Let's call it that way. A lot of the match-going fans love Ben. Like, they call him world-class. I don't think he is. I think he's basic. I think he's very solid. He'll do a good job in a great team. He'll be a good player. But when things are bad, you start seeing his issues. Like, he can't play out the back properly, in my opinion. He's not very comfortable in possession. he's just solid. Like, and you can't count on him. He's not great at crossing the way people insinuate. Oh, he's fantastic. I don't think he is. I think there are players that you can replace him with in the long term, but there's no point at the moment. Like, RD saying City's interested in him. City have been interested with so many players. Like, they wanted Maguire, they wanted Fred. Doesn't mean they're world class. Like,
yeah, I agree. I like Ben Chilwell. I do like him. I just think again, plays in too many different positions. I actually think he's a better wing back than he is a left back. But he can do the job. I just don't
he's an
know,
athlete, right? He's not
Yeah.
a footballer. He's an athlete. He's one of
Yeah.
those that his pace and power, like,
Mm.
really gets him in good positions, and then he's got a pure striking of the ball.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it's just one of them again. Like when you look at the outlet of where we can create off the wings, he's the only. Now Reece James is gone. He's the only one that we're going to be looking at to like get forward a lot more because Aspilicueta can't do it. You know what I mean? You ain't going to see Aspilicueta bombing forward like him, and that's another part of the reason why again we look unbalanced because we're relying on one area. It's predictable. You know, in how we're playing and trying to break play and move forward. And I keep saying to people,
What'd you give Ben for yesterday? Did you give him a 3, 4?
I'll probably give him a 4, to be honest. I think he tried to do. I think he was better in the second half as well. He annoyed me with one of his crosses. He got to the. It was in the second half. He got to the corner, and it's like Havertz is running in, and there's a good chance here if he gets the right ball in. He just, like, what the fuck that cross was? Like it just went over Ramsdale's head and went out for a goal kick, and I was like, bro.
And we had 3 men in the box for once.
I know, like we had a chance there. Like, what are you doing? Like, we've just been so fucking wasteful. It hurts, you know. It really hurts, and I don't know. But we're going to move on to the midfield anyway. Who are we going to talk about?
N'Golo.
Where is N'Golo? I can't even see him. N'Golo Kante. There he is. Everyone was excited for him to come back because he gives us something, and I do think he's.
I am as well. For me, I think Kante. I thought it was okay yesterday. Like, he's the one that was receiving. It's funny, right? Where he's the one receiving the ball out the back. He's the one picking it up in the number 10 role. He's really putting himself about, and he shouldn't be. Like, I thought he had a good game. Like, he was the best out of the midfield 3.
No, but what annoyed me with N'Golo Kante is that you've got 3 midfielders, keep it tight, but we were using the 2 and talk about Kovacic and Kante, and this is clear instructions again because he wouldn't be doing this, and asking them to run into the wings and then leaving the spaces in the middle completely open. And like there were so many times where Kante gets the ball and he's like a winger. I'm like, what are you doing over there? Madueke should be there. And then you've got Madueke standing in his position to receive the ball. And it's like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what are we doing? Like, and then when we lose the ball, we're so disjointed that when we lose the ball and the way Arsenal, because they're more fluid and they move the ball, they understand where to pick up, you know, the pockets and receive and turn, and you know that's why especially in the first half, that's why we suffered so much because it was just such a big panic when we lost the ball because we were so out of position every time. Couldn't get across quick enough because there was too much space to cover. You know, then Kante's over there and he's trying to get back in, but it's too late because the ball's gone up to Trossard, and then he's cutting into the space that Kante's usually in. And Aspilicueta gets dragged out of position. Enzo goes to the ball, but then Enzo gets caught because Odegaard's behind him. It lands to him, but Kovacic is nowhere near him because Kovacic decides to be too far on the other side as well. And it's like, what's going on? Like, where's the midfield? At some point, it's like
we don't retain the ball long enough. So the issue arises where, for example, remember under Sarri used to do this a lot with Kante. Kante would really hold the width, and then the winger on the right-hand side would really cut in and almost be like an inside forward. The problem is when Kante did that, you opened up, like Jorginho would have covered the space, and then the Kovacic would have shifted across. So we just made the middle more compact.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're not doing that at the moment. So it's like
too much space. And what I said yesterday is if you're going to, I was quite shocked that he picked that formation. To be honest, I had it in my head he was going to play 3 at the back because of the danger that Arsenal have going forward. But if you're going to play the 4 at the back, I actually prefer a 4-2-3-1. I'll be honest with you. I really would have preferred it. And I think with an extra offensive player occupying where Jorginho had so much space, which he did yesterday in that game, would mean that Jorginho would have had less time, but also would have to have focused on the number 10 that's picking up the pockets. yeah, that would have relieved pressure on the midfield a bit more, because when Enzo receives the ball, there's not three Xhaka, Odegaard, and Jorginho, closing the gaps because we're so deep. It wouldn't have allowed us to be so deep if we would have had an extra offensive player on the pitch to receive the ball and relieve it more. And João Felix might have done that yesterday. Do you know what I mean? In them pockets.
Yeah, but you know what he says about João Felix, right? He says he doesn't work hard enough off the ball. Mate, you don't sign these players to work hard off the ball. Yes, they have to have an element of working hard, which I think is a myth. He does run around. Like under Potter, he was running around. He's just not going to run around like a Conor Gallagher or a headless chicken. Like, just running for the sake of running. Like,
Conor Gallagher kills me when he comes on. He does. I just don't get I just don't get it. And RD, you might have been potentially right. If J5 was in the team, Enzo might have been able to thrive a bit more because he'd been further up the pitch.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. But, with N'Golo Kante, again, I'd probably give him a 3. I just wasn't impressed at all. I mean, he does what he does, and you can see the class in him, but I just feel like he's being managed incorrectly, and it's just, we're not benefiting from N'Golo Kante when we should be, because he's one of our world-class players, only world-class players in our team. It's hard to say it, but I don't know. I mean, Joe, I'll give him a 4. I'll change that to a 4 or a 4.5 if you want. But, there's a lot worse. There was a lot worse in midfield, and this guy was a 1 for me. He just, I can't, I don't
he was by far the worst player on the pitch, man.
But don't get me wrong, he set up the goal for Madueke. Don't know, that was a really good pass. That could actually give him an extra point. But in terms of requirements and what he can do when he is on form, and I'm talking about the relief of pressure of being able to pick the ball up and carry it and then create space and allow us to break forward. I haven't seen him do that for about, it feels like an endless 10 games. I've not seen him ever do it. It's like he's lost his ability of being able to do what he's actually good at doing. And all he does is just toddle along the pitch, lose the ball and try and do side passes, and doesn't actually help defensively. That's what I think of it.
He looks very Kovacic he looks like a player when he's in a good coach system, he stands out, right? And he looks like a very good player, like a top player. The issue begins when he has to take some individual aspects to his game, where he has to, responsibility. He stops tracking runners. He'll try pick up the ball and dribble past 8 people where he shouldn't. He doesn't look for simple passing options. He wants to try the difficult things.
No,
I disagree, man. I got a lot of criticism for saying this. I said Kovacic is the best first choice sub you could get in the world. He's not good enough for you to be a starter and win the league, but he's fantastic to have in a squad and bring him in when people get injured or you need to change the game.
When he's good, he's very good. Don't get me wrong. I've seen him play some really good games, and I'm thinking, wow, is it? But again, we say the same thing about Kovacic all the time. Consistency. How many years has he been in? Do you know what I mean? How many years has he been in now? But again, I'd give him probably a 2 because of that.
Jem, how much would you take for him in the summer? I'm taking 25 million because he's got a year left. Anything like that. He's 28.
He's still in his prime. You probably get about 30 for him, I reckon.
Whatever comes in, I'm selling him. If Bayern actually want him, come take him, because I think it's time to just refresh. I really do think it's time to refresh now.
I wouldn't say no to it, I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, if we kept him and used him as like a bench player, I'd be cool with that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just wasn't impressed with him. I'd probably give him a 2. And you got Enzo Fernandez, who it seems to just be suffering with the rest of them at the moment. And you know what it is with Enzo? He is he's so good with the ball, and he has the the eye, and he can be a bit physical, but he's just not. This is the best way to explain it to everyone. Imagine taking Bruno Fernandes and playing him in Casemiro's role.
Yeah,
that is literally what we're doing to him. And
it's what they did with Pogba. It's what they did with Pogba the whole time. They had an idea of what they wanted Pogba to be, and then they blamed him when he didn't meet the requirement of what their idea was. It
No,
stinks.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
you got an agenda, mate, Ashraf. I've already seen it. You didn't even like him when you come through the door. I'm telling you, this guy is class, and the fact that you say that, the fact that you say that is because I just find basically I looked at his stats back to Fulham to now, and you got to bear in mind when Enzo Fernandez came through the door, he's played every single game since he's come through the door in January. He's first
Yeah.
across every aspect, and I know it's not a big thing because we're shit this season, but he's first across every aspect of passing, dribbling, tackling in our team. He's number one, which is crazy. You know, like I just think he's been misplaced. I think he's a class player. I really think he is. He if he's played further up, he would unlock a lot of our issues in terms of releasing the ball, playing the ball across, and be more effective outside the box. Because when Kovacic receives the ball outside the box and shoots, you know where it's going.
Yeah.
When it lands to Enzo Fernandez, I'm thinking, you know, he has the ability to use that. You know, I just feel again he's been mismanaged. I feel again he's now being sucked in with the shit that we've had since Sarri, with some of the players still there, and obviously what's going on with the managers as well. And this is why it's so key that the next manager that we make, because at the moment we're regressing, we're not progressing. The next manager that we decide to bring in, whether it's Potter, whoever it is that we're bringing in, you have to get it so spot on because going into summer, we're going to have a gigantic squad. And that squad's going to be sold. Most of them going to be sold. Others are going to be kept in the 25, 26 man squad. And it's going to be a big decision in regards to the owners trying to get their philosophy of project and what they want to do spot on and progressing again. Because at the moment, we're regressing, you know, and there's just too many question marks. And it all starts with the managers because they've gone and
Yeah.
bought all these players quick and this, that, and the other spent 600 million, which we could probably sit and say, well, did they do that a bit too quick? Yeah. But let me tell you something now. These owners are going to make mistakes. They are. They are to start with. People forget they've been here a year. Do you know what I mean? They've been here a year. And yeah, they've made mistakes already with Potter and maybe sacking Tuchel and now putting Lampard in charge and whatever. But like, the next manager is a big thing, Alexis. You know that it's a real big because
It's a massive thing.
people
Like
don't realize how important it is.
it's bigger than any signing.
Yeah,
It's
it
bigger
is.
than any signing.
It's so big. I don't think people realize it, and that's what I'm saying. Enzo played in the 4-2-3-1, and I don't blame him, Jim. He did, to be fair, and I don't think we.
To be fair, I watched a lot of Benfica this year due to like my father-in-law is a Benfica fan, right? So anytime I go over, the man just always showed me highlights, always asking me to watch games with him. So that's how we bond. And literally, him and Luis together looked like a good tandem. One was sitting, covering the ground. They would have heavy possession. Enzo would go either to the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the outer line of the box, pick up the ball, and one of those Kevin De Bruyne in-swinging crosses in. And the number of goals they scored by just creating overloads and just putting a curling cross in through Enzo is ridiculous. Like it got to the point where it was like literally trademark Enzo, and we're not even utilizing. You know the goal Joao Felix scored against West Ham.
Yeah,
How many times have we seen him play that ball since?
he's not been able to because he's so deep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and on top of that, what about his lob for Kai Havertz against Leicester?
Yeah,
You know, name me a player in our team that's done that in the last since Cesc Fabregas, who has the ability to even do that. I have that.
Man, sacking Potter was such a mistake. Like it literally was. Like if you didn't have someone lined up to come in, why did you sack the man?
Eugene, this is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard you say in my life, mate. What are you talking about? Not judging films by highlights. It's about reading the game. What are you talking about? He's talking about Enzo, but he obviously don't like Enzo. But I don't get why people don't like the players we signed. You're mad. Have you seen the players we've got at the moment? And have you seen the quality that he holds compared to what we have?
It's because it's easier now to be a contrarian, right? If Enzo was still at what's it called, Benfica, people would be like, why aren't we signing an Enzo? It's the same thing that was happening with Mudryk. Now it's easy to like get at Mudryk. Same thing with Joao Felix. People just like to blame someone.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't want Felix at the beginning, but my question marks for Felix were what's happening now, which is I think he suffers with output. a lot of output, and it's not even just about the goals and the goals because he doesn't score enough goals for me. But he's just not a real, I don't think he's a creator. I just think he's someone that builds towards the transition from deep, has the ability to hold and carry. But his
But
decision
you know,
making,
under Potter, did you
great.
not like for example, under Potter, did you not like the first few games he played, especially before Potter got sacked, how he was picking up pockets, he was driving at people, committing them, and then offloading it, and then the pass after that would have almost created, because we were creating crazy amount of chances, like genuinely crazy amount of chances. Now he's just too far away from goal. Now it's more about how much he presses.
It's more about with João Felix, even in them games, is that he'd start it and he'd also be the one that finishes it, and he wasn't finishing. That was the problem.
Yeah.
With him, that's the key. Like, I like all the and whatever, but if you're going to bring Christopher Nkunku in, who said that he wants to play a 10, but we're also going to buy a striker, I'm starting Nkunku.
I think you can start both. You genuinely when Potter was playing the 3 at the back, people didn't like the idea of Havertz as a false 9, being almost a link-up target man like Poulsen was with Nkunku, and then you have João Felix as almost the guy that drifts, picks up the ball, drives at people. That front 3 in an attacking system will get you around about 45 goals. It can. You just have to have a system in place that ensures that they're actively in the right areas over and over again. Because we scored 45 goals under Tuchel with the forward lines with no one taking penalties. You can't convince me.
Yeah. I wanted to see Kante and then zone and pivot. That's what I wanted to see, I'll be honest with you.
So did I. I wanted to see that.
Just let the two be next to each other and let's just see it. We've seen Kovacic and Enzo. We've never seen Kante and Enzo. I don't get why we don't do that. And obviously, we're going to get big up to Matt as well. It's his best thing for Felix is alone him for another 6 months. I think if we can get away with it, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to loan him for 12 months, and then we'll see what happens from there. Because Atletico don't want him back because of the way he left. He doesn't want to go back. He wants to stay at Chelsea, like you can tell. So hopefully it works out.
Raheem Sterling is a player that I feel has obviously suffered a lot this season. I don't think he's been played correctly. He's been out of injuries for quite a while as well. People forget that. Yeah, he's not done and he's not doing enough. Yesterday, he annoyed me with the fact of his abilities of picking the ball up. He done the first bit well of holding the ball and turning and giving Ben White a bit of a problem. But it was the final pass that just frustrated me. And I look at him and I'm like, you weren't doing that for Man City. like, come on. And then I'm thinking to myself, why is he playing that? Why is he now like that? Why is he suffering that? And I think it's across the pitch. I think they all suffer badly. Are suffering badly with confidence.
The chat's saying he's finished, right?
Not finished.
How can he be finished? Right? Like, I think you're asking him to be something he's not. He spent the last 5 years of his career making runs, receiving the ball in the final third and being a finisher. Now you're asking him to be a creator, which he's not. It's a change in roles. It's like asking you to go from being a postman to something different. Like, it's completely different role. He was never signed to be a creator for this Chelsea team.
That's what I was trying to say to Josh earlier, because I know he absolutely hates Sterling. He just doesn't think he's good enough. He thinks he's the worst player we've signed in years. I disagree with that. And especially on the back of the season that we've had and what he's came into and what's been going on here at the moment. I just think...
Jem, scroll down. How many goals has he got, please?
The judgment of Sterling is to come in time, 4 in the Premier League out of 24 appearances.
And then he's got 26, 10, 17. Yeah, this is not a player that is finished. This is a player that finishes chances. And his movements, his movement in the final third will always get him chances. He might miss those chances because he can't finish, but he'll generate so many chances.
I just think Sterling's good when you create for him. And that's what I'm saying. And I agree with you. Yeah. I think people think he's the guy that's going to do an Eden Hazard and dribble and take people and not going to do that.
He's not Hazard.
However, what I would say with Sterling is that where he needs to be better is that when he does receive the ball and does the first bit well, which he's quite strong on the ball, he holds the ball
Yeah.
quite well, he turns, is being able to release the right ball, and he's not doing it. And I find that a bit weird at the moment. He seems to be making the wrong decision, or or an overhit ball, or this, that, and it's like, what are you doing? And I don't know. I don't know whether that's just a chemistry thing. I don't know whether that's just him out of form like the rest of them. But the judgments of Sterling are going to come moving forward next season, because when Christopher Nkunku comes in, who is another, in my opinion, finisher, and you have Sterling, and then you have maybe hopefully creators around that are going to create for that. That means they're going to have more chances, which means that you might see better chemistry, and you have players arriving in the box that can actually score, because Nkunku will score when you give him chances. Sterling, like you just said, when the ball comes in the right positions and he gets himself in the right positions, will score a couple. And that's what I'm saying with Raheem Sterling. It's not, that's what he offers. With Hakim Ziyech, he doesn't offer anything. Do you know what I mean?
But Jem, this is the thing, right? According to the chat, Sterling's finished. Pulisic is rubbish. Ziyech is rubbish. Mudryk is rubbish. Orba is rubbish. Why are all attackers rubbish when they come to Chelsea? Like, is it because we just write them off, or is it because we ask for players to do stuff that they weren't signed to do?
Or is it just because tactically we have no game plan? I keep saying this.
Yeah.
We have no game plan. We don't, even under Graham Potter, there were moments at the end still when I was at the game. I mean, I don't get if there was any game plan to go out there with. I don't think they understood what it is that they need to do to try and win this game. And it was down to, and we were relying on in games, just individual moments from people. And that's what it ended up becoming, because there wasn't any individual moments. That's what we were relying on. We just try and create a space and, give it to that player and maybe he will do that. And there's no, when you watch Arsenal, for example, what they do so well is they move forward as a team. Odegaard, Saka will get the ball, give it to Jorginho. Jorginho will look up, give it back, and then, he'll play a pocket of space. Odegaard will be in a pocket space. He'll receive it. He will turn, play ball right to Saka. Saka will take on the guy on the right, cut back in, give it back to Odegaard. By that time, you've got 3 or 4 players arriving in the box. At the back post is Martinelli. He then sides it across, and Jesus is in there to tap it in. Do you see what I mean? They have this chemistry flow that they know that when Saka gets the ball, get in the box. Odegaard finds the space. Jorginho's got the ball from deep. We need to relieve the pressure. Let me receive the ball. I'm comfortable with doing that because I have the ability to be able to then take the ball and play balls over the top. Which
I couldn't agree with you more.
That means the forwards are then more confident because they go, shit, Odegaard's got the ball. Let me make that run, because if I make that run, I know I'm going to receive it. The point I'm trying to get at is, the quality, we have the qualities and they're there. We're not playing them in the right positions, but then the forwards are not as confident because they know that, I don't think tactically we're set up correctly, and I don't think that these forwards are able to really be effective how they want to be because of the way that we play anyway. So I think it's a big overall problem, and that comes with not having a real manager, if I'm honest opinion, that's drilling in the system of how they're going to do things, how they're going to playing players in their correct positions. We can't have Enzo Fernandez playing as a DM next season. We need a sitter, whether it's Latvia, whether it's Rice, whatever the fuck it is. We need someone to come in and actually allow us to be able to use the players that we do have to be further forward. Have Kante on the right of Rice and have Enzo. But at least then when you get the ball into Enzo and he's further forward with the forwards, that they're now going to be confident in making runs because he's going to play. He always looks forward. You saw it in his first couple of games. How forward he looks. He's a bit like Fabregas in that instance, So
no, I agree with you, Jem. Honestly, if you think about it, right, realistically, I remember talking to Nini about this on another stream, and he was saying Tuchel had us too regimented. Everything was too automated in the final third. We knew what we were going to do. And the reality is, these footballers need automation. It's not every day freestyle. It's not every day decide what you're going to do in the final third. Some of them aren't good enough to do it. So if they're doing repetitive tasks over and over again, eventually it will become second nature with the movement. So we need to get a manager that almost has a type of way of playing, and then we can go from there.
That's what I keep telling people.
Yeah, and with Sterling as well, like I see Zach saying, I hope he proves me wrong under Poch because on form he's our best attacker. That's spot on. On form, he's our best goal-getting attacker. But when he's left to his own accord, Sterling's horrible. He's absolutely horrible when he's left to his own accord. Give him a style of play, and then
I really find people weird in the chat. Some of the weird comments, I just ignore it. Noni Madueke. I have called for him to be played yesterday. I actually like his game. I like what he does. I like what he offers. And I actually thought we done quite well yesterday, in my opinion. He, in the first half, we were shocking. He took on 3 or 4 players, got into the box. I think he could have released the ball a bit earlier. And I think, again, being very young, he can be natured into that. He scored a good goal. We brought the ball down well, made a good run, and over Ramsdale. I thought it was a good finish. I like Madueke. I think he's a
so
positive.
do I. I think he's a very good player.
I think there's something in Madueke because he's quick,
young, right?
He's young. He gives you problems. He cuts in. I think there's a good, under the right manager, like we said earlier, and guided in a bit like Sterling. I think, and then being given opportunities, I think Madueke could really be a good player for Chelsea in the future.
Chat might laugh at me. It reminds me a little bit of Riyad Mahrez in the sense that always wants to come in, have a curler, have a pop, likes to take a player on, refuses to use his right foot every now and then. The issue with him is he'll give the ball away because he tries stuff. And if you saw the timeline yesterday during the first half, he gave the ball away a few times. They jumped on his back. The problem is good players that try stuff give the ball away. And you can't coach that out of him. Otherwise, you lose the efficiency that you bought him for. He's a player that's meant to try stuff just in the right areas. And the right coach will get him in the right areas. And then hopefully we don't get punished when he loses the ball. But then we see the reward.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree. I think he was decent. I'd probably give him a 6, to be fair. I don't think he was that bad. And he scored a goal. So, yeah, big up to Noni. Aubameyang, I mean, what was it? 7 or 8 touches, 2 of them were kick-off. I didn't want him to start, to be honest with you.
Neither did I. Fan pressure.
Yeah,
that's the
wrong game. Again, goes back to Lampard. Wrong game to start him in. And everyone said, oh, yeah, but he played really well against Brentford and he had 4 chances and he created. And I said, but that's fucking Brentford and we still lost. This is Arsenal. Do you know what I mean?
It's a different game. It's a completely different game. You're playing against a low block team. By the way, someone mentioned Badiashile. Where the hell is Badiashile?
I don't know why he's not being played.
You're bringing on Trevor Chalobah, who we know we're selling. Why does he make the squad over a Benoit Badiashile, who arguably is one of our best young prospects that we're going to build around in the future? This is why I don't want Frank. People are saying, don't sack Frank now. What's the point? Bring in the next manager. The next 5 games are a write-off. Literally give him coaching time and competitive games just to test some ideas and see which players are going to stay. So as soon as the season ends and the window opens, you know which players have a future and which don't. So when they come back for pre-season, that's it. We already have a majority of the squad that's going to stay.
He needs to go for me. I'm done with Aubameyang anyway. I didn't want him in the first place. I was on the fence with it. I knew it was going to be a problem. I don't think he's at it anymore. I don't think his head's there with it. He was bought for Thomas Tuchel. We sacked him.
Funny how that works, right?
Yeah. I have nothing else more to say. I don't have nothing else more to say other than he doesn't offer. My problem with Aubameyang is that they all say, yeah, but you create for him and he will score because he's a striker and he'll get in the right positions. Yeah, fine. What does he do off the ball?
Nothing. But that's been him his whole career, right? Off the ball, he doesn't get involved. He's a penalty box striker or running behind striker. He's a good. If you use him right, he's a good player.
I just don't think he suits us and what we.
He doesn't suit us.
That's the biggest issue of it, and that's why I'm so reluctant from ever playing for us because I just don't. I don't mind him coming off the bench and like, you know, giving us something there, but starting games against Arsenal or City or whatever is just the most dumbest thing. And I know people don't like Havertz. I know we don't have any strikers. It's annoying me that Brower's injured. You know, it really annoys me that Brower's out because I actually would have
Yeah.
liked to have seen Brower just fucking been in the team. At least he's a striker and he's got pace and he can hold the ball up. Do you know what I mean? And then gone from there with it. But
But you know what I find hilarious? Havertz came on yesterday and looked like our best forward.
I know
Linked the play up.
they won't say that.
Looked decent. They
You
won't
can't
say
do
that
that.
because
You're not allowed to talk about Kai Havertz because apparently if we get rid of him, everything's solved at Chelsea. That's what I get from social media. He's our worst player. Apparently.
for me, honestly, Kai Havertz is one of the players I'm keeping next year. I think under a competent manager, he looks good. Under Tuchel, he was good. Yes, the numbers weren't there, but it's something that was like he's slowly building on it. And
I like Kai Havertz in the deeper role, not as the foe. I like him like we played him with Potter, where we had Felix and Havertz, and then we had like a, do you know what I mean? Someone behind. And actually,
agreed.
his decision making, he's arriving in the box and whatever. He actually looks just much better. And imagine playing him there more consistent with a striker that's prolific in front of him, and him arriving in later and whatever. I think it's better. No service for Auber again. Oh yeah, it is an Auber lover. There's another Auber lover.
But you know what, Jem? You can't. The thing is with Auber, right? I can't be angry at him for yesterday because you set him up to fail.
He just shouldn't have been playing.
That's what I mean. Like you put him in a team and asked him to do a role he can't do. So like, and then he got scapegoated when you take him off at half time. When really, why did Sterling stay on? Why did Kovacic stay on?
What we should have done with Aubameyang is played the 4-2-3-1. That's what we should have done, in my opinion. Whether it's Havertz behind him or Felix or whatever behind him in that 10 role, you know, that's where I think we might have been able to create a bit more and he could have been more thing. But in a 4-3-3, he's having to deal with two defenders, come deep, and then when we do get the ball and we try and move forward, we're asking him to run behind. He hasn't got the speed. Like, what I'm trying to get at is he can't hold the ball up. He can't run behind. It doesn't help us build up the play because he's just not that player. He's a player that needs to just be in the box and then be creative for. It doesn't work for us. We can't play with a player like that in the team. At least with Havertz, if you've got him in the team, like we saw in the second half, he'll win headers, he'll control the ball down, he will, you know, link up play, he will try and make runs in behind. As much as people don't like Havertz, you know, he looks a bit more threatening. Would you not agree yesterday in the second half?
Yeah, he did because he can hold the ball up. And that was our biggest issue. We didn't hold the ball up. We didn't let our backline push up a bit and give support. Yeah, but here we go with a balanced argument. It's imbalanced because we're not coached. Why do successful teams play a 4-2-3-1 and look good?
I don't get Chelsea fans that talk about Jorginho so much and being better than Enzo. I don't get it. What is wrong with you guys? What is wrong with you? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, we're talking about a player that's just come in January, guys, yeah? January, and still been our best player on stats. Number one across all stats. You know, and being played out of position, by the way. He's playing in a role that Jorginho would have been playing in for us. He's actually been played deeper, and he's not even defensive-minded. So I just don't get this weird thought process of Enzo Fernandez. It's just weird. It's so weird. It's very weird. I don't get it. But our fan base is a bit weird, unfortunately. And I've come to the conclusion.
Yep, very weird.
I like the whole thing of if you don't like someone, that's cool. But then bring something to the table about it and explain it and why. And let's talk about it. You know, that is literally it. That's the way I see it. But we're not in a good place, Alexis. And right now, all it is, and this is what goes back to Chelsea fans on social media. I think it's very easy for people just keep moaning. It's the lazy answer of just keeps moaning about one player here, one player there. We do it all the time. It's boring. Like, it's more than one player. Like, can people not see with their own eyes that it's more than just Sterling or Enzo or Kovacic? You know, it's just not. It's just more. I don't know what more to say. Like, it's so much from top to bottom that I could sit here and explain. you know, and I have explained on it so many times. But we're just not in a good place at the moment, and we need to beat Bournemouth and we need to beat Forest next. So the 2 games where I think we need at least 3 or 4 points in, you know.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if we're going to do it. And then why partly I don't feel like we're going to do it is because Lampard scares me, because you go back to playing Conor Gallagher up front against
Oh,
fucking Bournemouth.
yeah.
You know what
By
I
the
mean?
way, you know, next game, Conor Gallagher's coming back into the team.
Like, let's
Like,
work it like this, right? As much as I don't rate Gallagher and then one up front, it would have actually probably made more sense doing that against Arsenal than doing it against blimmin' Brentford. If you think about it,
yeah,
if you're going to play the 4-3, whatever 3, you're probably better off a 4-2-3. You're better off probably doing it against these teams and trying to create more that way than doing it against an Arsenal team and leaving yourself open. Do you know what I mean? Like we did against Real
agreed.
Madrid, where we
Agreed.
played Gallagher there and we actually dominated in the midfield, but we just didn't have no end products. Like I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I'm so confused with this club. It's just boring. Really boring. I'm just not enjoying it at the moment, man. How about you?
I don't think you're the only one as well. Like, game day used to be something special for me. Like, it's the day where, you know, all day I've been thinking about games. Now it's like a chore to watch them, because I don't feel like we're going in any direction.
No, and that's what worries me. And this is why I think summer just needs to come, and I need to see what we do in the summer. I really want to know, because look, the owners have a mindset, right? They know what they want to do. This is this is their idea of bringing in young players, and whatever it is they're going to do with what manager and whatever, right? So that's always going to be set in stone. But it's carrying it out and finding the right personnel to be able to carry it out. It's like running any other business, isn't it? You open up a new business. How does the business become successful? To having the right people around you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's the same thing in the many ways with what we're doing right now. It's Roman era gone, new era, Todd Bowley era in now, completely new, different ideas, completely new mindset, completely new philosophy. Been 1 year, still early doors, but the pressure's on now because of where we are and where we're regressing in the transitional period that we're in now, because we can't still be that 2, 3, 4 years down the line where we're struggling to get to 4th or 5th or 6th because do you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some sort of progression in what we're trying to do. And that's the key, progression. Because if we see progression next year, if we finish 4th, Alexis, with Pochettino, I don't know, let's say we don't win a trophy, but we're winning games again and we're still losing games here and there, but we're playing better football and we're in the Champions League again. Would you say that's a successful season for Chelsea or not?
So if we finish 4th,
say we finish 4th in the or 3rd. Let's say 4th or 3rd in the Premier League.
yeah, that's a successful season. Beggars can't be choosers, man. And in this case, we're begging for wins 1 in every 3 games, let alone like 3rd place. Next year, it's simple, right? All we need to do, in my opinion, is aim for 75 points, 22 wins in the league, and I think it's 6 draws, if I'm not mistaken. Or like 23 wins, 6 draws. From there, it's then you build. And people don't want to build. Like, that's the reality of it. What are you saying?
The reality is we're still missing specific profile players. Let's be serious. We are. I know spent money, but it's still missing. We're still missing intricate players. We've got rid of Jorginho, who's our only sitter, and we haven't got a sitter, which don't help, And this is why having a Rice.
But Jorginho was the problem, remember?
Yeah, sure.
Jorginho was the issue.
I was never a big fan of Jorginho, and I always said that if getting rid of Jorginho means getting Enzo for the future is the right thing, then let's do it. But I think the best option, looking at it, would have been keeping Jorginho and just getting Enzo, and at least having Enzo a bit further forward with someone there temporarily, and let Jorginho go in the summer, and then get someone else in. Yeah,
maybe. But it made sense though, right? Yeah. Because the reason they got rid of him is because he was leaving on a free in 6 months, and they accepted the 12 million.
The money, yeah, that's true. I forgot about
that. And that financially makes sense. Like, let's be honest, because it's all well and good us spending abnormal amounts of money. We still have to get some money in to balance the books. And it's the way they most probably weighed it up is, how important is Jorginho? Is it better to sell him get rid of him for nothing, or get 12 million in? That makes sense. Like,
people say, please talk about the owners. They've got us in a mess. But
I think the owners have done a good job. I genuinely think the owners have done a good job. I'm most probably going to get laughed at. Like you said, it's their first year. Their biggest mistake was, in my opinion, they sacked Tuchel for non-footballing reasons, from what we're hearing, right? So, if I'm the owner of a business, I'm going to get rid of a person that doesn't want to do things my way. If he doesn't want to collaborate and take the business to the way like I want to build it. So even though the fans are unhappy with it, Tuchel didn't want to work with them. It was clear as day. So that's what Potter was the wrong appointment. That's the wrong issue. They've got the technical directors in that everyone in the chat was crying for. They've got 3 of them in. They've went and signed young players that are meant to become the next big thing. They got you an Enzo Fernandez. They got you a Fofana. They've got you Badiashiles. The issue was sacking him when you were backing him, and bringing in Frank Lampard. No, now with Pochettino, I want them to back him properly.
Not sure with Pochettino, I'll be honest with you. I'm worried.
I'm not sure with Pochettino either. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I hope it's. I know there's certain individuals that are about it, and I've given my reasons why I'm not, and I think there's valid reasons on both sides. I get that why people wouldn't be interested in him, and I get why people will say, well, actually, out of what's available, he's actually probably our best chance. But then, who would be available in the summer? Things change. Managers come and go. Would it not be better? But then you do that, you start losing out on your pre-seasons, and then you're fucking around trying to find a manager, through summer. And it's like when they do come through, when they do come through, you've only got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month left of pre-season, and it's not enough, and they need more time, and that's the problem. So I think they're trying to not do that and I'm expecting them to announce. Someone said Enrique was our guy. Yeah, Enrique on paper would have been nice.
Enrique on paper would have been nice, but then you know what the argument with Enrique is? The argument with Enrique is, look at his job at Roma when he had a similar project to Chelsea where they invested a heck of a lot of money on young players, and it took time to build, and their board panicked and sacked him. And sadly, I don't know, man, it's just not working out. It's not working out. Zach saying Alexis knows nothing about football is hilarious when he reps Kepa. You can't be saying people don't know nothing about football, but then you rate breadstick hands in goal.
Football got cut because Tuchel wanted to be a coach, not a technical director.
No one said the other way. He didn't want to be a coach. I'm saying if you buy a business and you want your coach to be part of the decision-making process, and he doesn't want to be, then you have to fire him.
I never said you don't know no football. That's what I thought. Maybe I'm.
This is literally what the comment just said.
Next is a guy who knows nothing about football.
You literally just said that. The reality is you have to fire him because he didn't want to be part of your business. He's not part of the business model you foresee for your club. Jem, tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm selling apples...
No. What he's saying is Alexis, a guy who knows nothing about football, got cut. So he's talking about Todd Bowley.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize then. I didn't mean... I read that wrong.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I completely read that wrong.
No. We've read it wrong. But you could have made it a bit clearer though, Matt. It's that way that it...
Yeah, I fully thought he just said he doesn't know nothing about football, man. I'm sorry, man.
No, I get what he's saying now. Yeah. No worries.
No, the reality is, I think Todd's wrong for sacking such an elite level manager. I would have never sacked Tuchel. I like Tuchel. I would have given Tuchel so much time.
He deserved the backing,
He deserved all the backing. But today it's what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? If Tuchel doesn't want to work with them, then he has to move on.
I think people were still stuck in the old ways, and I don't blame them. I think we're still stuck in our old ways of how we think and how we were run. And I don't think he settled in people's brains. And I did tell people, go and watch my summer videos back, and I said, you're going to go through a bit of a storm. I didn't think it was going to be this much of a storm, but the first season, doesn't matter who comes in after we sack Tuchel. This is what I said. I said, whoever we sack, whoever we bring in for Tuchel when he got sacked, I said, it's going to have a rough time. You're not going to get the systems and what you want to see this season. It's not going to happen. You might see bits and games and flashes. But I promise you now, we're going to lose games. We're going to win games. I said, we're going to struggle. Yeah, and I said this to people back then. Yeah, to be paid. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as we got a new manager in, Tuchel's gone. All the Tuchel outers wanted him out. Yeah, we got Graham Potter in. They were excited about it. What happened? 6 months later, they wanted him out, and I don't blame it. It was bad. And then to get him out and then go and get Frank Lampard and bring him in, I did get at the beginning because I thought, well, you know what, we've only got 9 games left. You know, it gives them a bit more time. I'd rather them not rush the decision of bringing in a manager now and actually take their time and do it. But then at the same time, we need points. We need. I think we still need 3 points or 4 points. I don't know how many points we need, to be fair, but I know we've got a game in hand. But
No,
we
we're
need
fine. I
points.
don't think we'll get relegated. Like, genuinely.
Well, we've got to beat Nottingham Forest at least, for fuck's sake. If we can't beat Nottingham Forest for 1-0, saying
We need a point. We don't even need we need a point in the last 5 games, and that's to be I think mathematically safe. Everyone
we've
else
got City,
underneath.
Man United and Newcastle our last 3 games. I am not looking forward to them 3. I'd rather get something out of the 2 games that we've got coming up now, and then just sit back and go, oh fuck it, Man City, Man United, Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? Because I just don't see us doing anything. I'll be honest with you.
Man, I really want them to announce Poch, and I want him to come in now. I don't know why he's not coming in now.
I don't think Poch wants to come in. I don't even fucking blame Poch. Poch must be sitting there going, let me just go in at the end of this, and we'll just start from fresh, and this is what we'll do. We'll probably have the plan in place for when summer kicks in.
But surely, right, he would want 6 weeks to almost fix stuff.
It's true, Winter Server. It's true. Can't even beats. Yeah.
Oh, super chat.
Declared says, for the worst season of Chelsea's history, Todd Boehly isn't the owner. He is the minor investor of a voted face for the consortium. Todd needs to step down of all decisions while decisions will debate anymore anytime. He is the front face of it, the consortium, but he's not the only one making the decisions when it comes to signing. You've got Egbali there, you got Vitz there, you've got Clear Lake Capital, which is owned by him. It's a consortium is made upon decisions between a consortium. It's not just Todd Boehly going, oh, I'm going to get him, I'm going to get him, and forget about it. On top of all of that, I think the big reason why they got this recruitment board in of Vivell and Winstanley and Lawrence and all these people is for the guidance. Because let's be serious, they don't really know that much about managers, players coming through the door, who to keep, what to do, what to get. What they have done is probably given an image to Vince Vivell, Winstanley, of where they want to go with this, and how they want to do things, and what they can do to offer to help get there. And I think it's a big overall accumulation between all of them on the decisions of what goes on in the club. I don't think it's like it was before, where Marina would want a player, she'd probably go and ask Roman to sign it off. There's the check, see you later. Do you know what I mean?
Don't you think you know what the problem is? Don't you think there's too many cooks in the building now?
Well, this is the big thing, and someone just brought it up just now and said this. Sporting director could be a big thing if we do end up doing that, because what that will do is alleviate a lot from Todd Boehly and Egbali. They'll still be involved, but the sporting director will be the sporting director.
But aren't what's it called, Stewart and Winstanley and that Lawrence guy, the sporting directors at the moment? Aren't they the main decision makers?
They are, but I think the position of Vivell is one of the technical whatever directors. He's not the actual sporting director of Chelsea. So we actually have a gap that's not filled in the club, but is temporarily accommodated or being occupied by Boehly and Egbali.
This is stinking, man. That's the issue. We don't have clarity. Yeah. And it's really bothering me. The whole fiasco with Nagelsmann, where Nagelsmann basically thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to get the job. It stinks of Vivell told him most probably, oh, mate, job's yours. You just need to go through this little hoop. He went into the interview and realized, hold on, the job's not mine. And then he got offended by the fact that he had to interview. And it's because we don't have one person making a decision.
But I don't mind them not making that rash decision straight away, because they need to sit in front of these people and explain what it is that they're doing for the long term and how they want to do things, right? Part of the reasons why Nagelsmann didn't want to come wasn't only because he wasn't the only guy. It was also to do with the recruitment policy moving forward and how we wanted to do things. And I think one of the ideas of what we want to do moving forward is that I think we want to incorporate a lot of the young players. You see a lot of young players being signed into this main squad, but they've got to obviously earn their stripes in doing that. So I think Nagelsmann's in a position now where he was at Leipzig, he had been through that model there, went to Bayern Munich, only lost 2 or 3 games and got sacked quite harshly, in my opinion, because he fell out with the board, and is now in more of a position as a manager where he probably just wants to win things now. I don't think that's us. And I think he's looked at it and gone, Real Madrid might be open, Ancelotti's going in the summer. I want to wait and maybe turn the idea away on the basis that he feels he can get a bigger job where he can win now. And that's what I think is the reason why Nagelsmann, and again, it's all just speculative. I'm only just giving you a side of it. But I think that's a big reason why he's not come, because he's probably looked at it and gone, well, you sign all these players. He looked to the future. You're talking about maybe not winning on the now, but progressing these young players and getting the best, and me putting my systems in place and being, seeing their progression, which is going to take a bit of time, which is what I think's in their heads. But I don't want that. I want you to give me A, B, C, and D. I will still do that, but I want to be doing this now, and I think we can do this now, and I want to be doing. And maybe they've just gone, well, you're not fitting our module. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I think's happened to Enrique. When you talk about Luis Enrique, not only is it the fact that I think he's probably gone there, because I think Luis Enrique out of all of them is probably the most neatest one. I reckon he would have sat down and gone, this is what I do, this is that, this is what I stick to, 4-3-3. I want him, I want a holding, I want a proper holder like a Casemiro Busquets type in there that is going to sit there. I want to buy some more. I want to use, direct wingers, because we've seen it with him. He likes the 4-3-3s. He's not really, for me, Enrique's not very a flexible coach, tactically.
No, he's not.
No, and that worries me when you've got a big squad. So that when you look at why Chelsea turned him away, which is what we got told, Chelsea not, taking Enrique on. What that tells me is that Enrique's gone there with his old ways of what he wants to do and how he wants to be successful for the now. And I think they've looked at it and gone, well, we've got all these players, this, that, and the other. He's not going to be willing to play A, B, C, and D and try and bring them in. He just wants this guy who we've got to spend money on. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think it's just not, again, fitted into the module of what we want to do moving forward. And again, that's why they've scribbled it up. Why they've looked at someone like Pochettino is because they've looked at his Southampton days and they've looked at his Tottenham days and how he's worked with young players and brought them through to a level, right? And I think when you look at the module of what we're trying to do and where we are currently at the moment, even though I don't think Pochettino's the man to win us things, I think they're using Pochettino on the basis of to bring him through players, him agreeing that, giving him what he still needs on certain positions to get the best out of his systems, but then prolonging the project and making us competitive moving forward so that we are earning money from the Champions League again because we're in it. And that brings in revenue every season.
But you know what? There's a comment about the Celtic guy and company. I think those managers were purely put out there to make Poch look like a better pick.
Yeah, they need to have. Yeah. But then you look at after Enrique, Nagelsmann, and Poch, you're struggling. Who is there anyway? So if the first two is what I said is what I think is probably the case, more in detail, and Poch is, when you look at him on paper, fits the module for what he did in the past and how he's run and operated and worked with boards. Maybe they've looked at it as an opportunity, and maybe for once Poch will get backed because he didn't at Tottenham when he done very well with Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? Under Levy. So maybe it's an opportunity for him to expand that. But I'm just still not 100% sure on him. I'll be honest with you. I still think that he still lacks that winning mentality, that killer install, which I think we need in the team.
But they weren't looking for that, were they? Because you just said it yourself. Like, did you see that Matt Law article where Matt Law wrote like 8 things that they were looking for in the manager? So they were like, a manager that can coach during a stadium build, brings in youth, has experience in EPL and Champions League, has worked with a smaller club before. And it literally stunk of Pochettino is the man to go with. And I think, it's worrying. I don't know, man. Like, I'm worried about next year, but at the same time, I've got this weird sense of we've got a better squad than we're showing at the moment. So hopefully the next manager gets the best out of them.
Declared says decision for the next manager is overdue. He feels like it's taken too long. I think I don't
agree
know.
with you, mate. I agree with you.
But whether it's overdue on the basis of us or the manager themselves not wanting to come in now is we don't know. These are the things as well, you know. Like I don't know is the answer. I don't think we'll ever know. And all we've got to do is get to this end of this blimmin' season, in my opinion. But big up to Declared. President Jafar says, I bet Poch is seriously reconsidering Chelsea now. I don't think so. I think Poch
If
will jump.
anything, Poch is going and telling them, add another $500,000 on that, please.
I think Poch is going to jump at this opportunity. I think he probably sees, and I keep saying this, there's talent in this squad. It just needs the right manager. And with Poch, the one thing we will see is a 4-2-3-1. But he's going to need to have a sitter. You're going to have someone, you know, like when with Poch, he's always had Dembele, Wanyamas, you know, like them type of players. He's always had still someone that's quite solid in the midfield that's in there. So,
do you know who's really grown on me? Declan Rice. The more and more I'm looking at it, the more I'm like, you know what, just bring him in. Like, if it's Poch,
Latvia, you know, I like Latvia a lot. I think he's a really good player.
He is a good player. I like him as well, to be fair.
I like that. I think he's got more tools in his locker than Rice, but I think what Rice is maybe better at doing than him is maybe. But then again, even Rice struggles with it to a degree. Is I think defensively he's probably a little bit more in tune, you know, off the ball. But I think Latvia has more tools. I think Latvia is a better passer. I think Latvia physically can get. I watched him at Stamford Bridge. He absolutely bossed down midfield, literally. Like he made it look like nothing. Like the guy's quality.
He's 19 as well, right?
So young as well. That's the thing. Yeah, he's so young. Could be anything. Luis Enrique is a better coach than Poch, also manager, and has won at the highest level, unlike Poch. So that's all waffle about Poch is good for youth. That's bullshit. Enrique 20 times better.
Poch, he's a better manager and has won at the highest level. Okay, he has won at the highest level with Barcelona. We know he's a very good manager. And he can implement a good system. But can he work under these conditions? This is what I think people don't consider. Like, will he want to do the whole communicating with the board over what players we sign? And when it doesn't go his way, will he throw his toys out the pram? Like, I get it. I really do understand, right? People will just want the best possible manager available. But I think we need to look at it a bit more holistically. Like, is this fit actually going to work? Or are we just being like fans? Because that's what we are, right? We're emotional fans that love the club.
100%, mate. 100%. And look, I am going to be back. I mean, Alexis, it's been nice having you on, mate. It's been a while since you've been on. Unfortunately, you're not in great circumstances, but you know, it's nice to have a discussion and talk Chelsea and you know, speak about the overall. You know, I don't like everyone can have their judgments on how they feel about the players. I get that. Some people are going to hate others and like wars and whatever. That's football, you know. But I think we need to look past more than just the performance of one player. You know, it's just a lazy way of thinking, in my opinion, in what's going on at Chelsea at the moment. More to it, and you know, unfortunately, I just think we need to get to the summer, guys, and then the flush will happen and. We'll see what goes from there. New manager in, and then the test. And then,
have you seen the new article that just leaked?
No.
It's going around that multiple players have contacted Todd Bowley directly, expressing that they have concerns about Frank Lampard's tactics. They find it very confusing to believe, and they don't see no improvement coming.
Okay, now, who's that? Who said that? Who was that said that?
Chelsea Hour just retweeted it.
Chelsea, let's have a look at Chelsea.
Chelsea Hour, yeah.
Have a look at this. Need to advise, talk to Frank. I need advice, talk to Frank. Matt Law, Machino is no magician. Chelsea will take years to rebuild. That's what Matt Law says.
And then the one below, I think.
What an out of shambles.
Hold on, let me just.
According to the multiple sources, Chelsea players this morning have contacted Todd Bowley. Who is this guy? I know he is.
Never seen him, but multiple sources. I believe it. Like, Todd's really created a whole come and talk to me atmosphere at the club, right?
100%, because he goes into chats to the players every game at the bridge, and I think there's a relationship there with that. According to multiple sources, group of Chelsea players this morning have contacted Todd. They've expressed their concerns regarding Lampard's tactics. They find the tactics very confusing and believe that the unthinkable could happen if no improvement. That's probably unthinkable in terms of relegation. That's what they're saying. Indie KFC. Oh my god.
Are you worried, by the way, about next? Like, do you think next year could be bad? Like, could be 8th or 7th, or do you think it's just a matter of time until we're competing for top 4 again?
I think we've wasted a year to a degree of management decisions. I think that the owners have tried to speed the process up by just buying and just getting everything in. But what they've not realised is by doing that is that maybe it's overpopulated the squad. It's made it a bit of a mess because we've got so much there that shouldn't be there, and it needs a summer. I think the managers that came in through this season of coming after be on the back of Tuchel, Graham Potter, and that have had, in my opinion, quite a hard job with that. At the same time, not being able to get the best of what we have on the pitch has been a big kit issue. I think this summer's going to be a big one in terms of whether we progress or regress. I don't see us regressing as we have this season. No, I do expect us to be better. I do expect lots of people to leave the club. At the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if we went out and bought a couple of players to aid and strengthen it. And I'm hoping by doing that the pre-season with the players, if it is Poch, gives them enough time to implement the system. I mean, let's be serious. We've played so many systems that if we do find a system under a manager which is structured right and works, I don't think it'll take these players long to click. But it's playing the players in the right positions and having their qualities being out on display effectively. And I think having a sitter in there, having Enzo further forward, having Mudryk coached and nurtured by a manager that can see the qualities and shows the confidence in him is key. Sterling might wake up in front of goal because now Nkunku's next to him, and our output's a lot better now when we're creating because we're actually putting it in the back of the net. We might get a striker. There's talks about Ivan Toney, Vlahovic. These are all question marks, and we will only know the answers until the end of the summer and the beginning of the season. And there is a pre-season. I don't look into pre-season too much. I watched us tactically and how we set up and what we're trying to do. But in terms of result, I'm not really too fussed with them. And then it's moving into the season, how he sets up. Is he going to have a solid 11? Because I don't think we've had a solid 11 on paper in a long time. We've changed the squad 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking crazy, Alexis. Name me a top 6 team that's done exactly the same thing this season. You know this. You know every top 6 team has what? Has a system and has near enough the same 11, barring some games they switch it around, don't they, for player by player. Think about it. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. It's always the same thing. And that's what we've got to work to. We've got to work on the chemistry, work on the system, and then have confidence in the main 11, what it is. And then, along the season, you switch it a bit. But the biggest key in all of this is not having European football in all this, because I think that's going to aid us massively.
Man, it's going to be so weird not having, just having one game a week.
I know. But we'll see.
At the same time...
Yeah. Go on, mate.
Might be refreshing, but
it's got to be a progression, Alexis. That's the thing, and we won't know that until later on, and we'll be obviously covering that through the summer, guys, over here as well. It's been a good show. I've enjoyed everyone that's in here today. Unfortunately, on the back of a 3-1 loss to the fucking Arsenal, which we all can't stand, but we move. Alexis, big up to you, man. Thank you for coming on. Try and come on a bit more if you can when you get time as well. You're always welcome as well. Come on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
We usually have more of a panel on as well, but today it's been a bit more of a quiet one. I've got work to do now as well, so I've got to shoot. But big up, guys. Take care of yourselves, and we'll be back again very, very soon.